So now you guys can see what the predicted range is by the car, 286, okay? But before we start the whole video, write down in the comments right now, what do you think the real world range is going to be? What is the range that we're actually going to get driving this car in minus 35-degree weather? I'm doing this at night, making sure it's cold and no traffic, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about where we're actually going. Welcome back to another video, and today is a very special one. As you guys can see all around me, ice, snow, cold. We are in the middle of a huge cold snap here in Alberta. We've had minus 40 to minus 35 temperatures pretty much for the last 3, 4, perhaps even 5 days. And I have decided to do a range test in this weather. So let me just show you guys a little bit of what the setup looks like. So right now we are charging up on a 50 kilowatt flow charger just where I live here. This is the place with the solar panels. We're almost at 100%. So this is why I'm here, because I want to make sure that the battery is as warm as possible, because it is very, very, very cold. So this place has actually 2 of these 50 kilowatt chargers and 2 other just level 2. But anyway, it is super cold. Let's get inside and see what's going on. We're almost fully charged, 97% right now. We've got 8 minutes to go, and so far the range is saying 285. All right, so that's what we're getting. And then just so you guys can see clearly, the temperature is right now minus 35 degrees C, which I believe it's the same in Fahrenheit. If it isn't, I'm gonna write a correction on the screen. And we're charging at a very blistering 6 kilowatt on a 50 kilowatt charger. So battery is very, very cold. It's 10 at max, 7 at the minimum. So this is going to obviously present a problem. So we are starting from Leduc, which is the place that I live. It is just south of Edmonton. And then around Edmonton, there is a ring road, okay? It's called the Anthony Henday Drive. It is 78 kilometers in diameter, not in diameter, in length, okay? Not diameter. We're not driving in the diameters. What am I talking about? In length, okay? So it circles the whole city, 78 kilometers. There are chargers dotted all around, not many, because this is still Edmonton and our Electrify Canada hasn't opened up yet as of this recording. So hopefully it does soon. Electrify, get on it. But there are enough chargers that I can bail out in case something happens. All right, so I'll pop up a picture of what this whole thing looks like. You will see where we are, and then Anthony Henday Drive, which is the ring road around Edmonton. And before we embark on this whole thing, I just want to say, you know, all the comments from people online about how EVs don't work in the winter, EV chargers work in the winter at minus 35. The car works at minus 35. It worked when it was minus 40 a few days ago. So I just want to say, all of those things are so not true. And I'm just so tired of people going online spreading all this misinformation about what EVs are. Actually, on the highway, we might even see quite a few ICE cars still parked on the side of the road, broken down. And I've not seen an EV. So there you go. Buy an EV, drive it in winter. Obviously the range is not going to be great. That's why we're testing this today, but at least it starts up. At least it gets you to a place that you want to go, which can't be said about all ICE vehicles, right? We are now set up and ready to go. Car's at 99.5. This is the best that I could get, but the actual state of charge is only 95. So we'll see what happens. And obviously what we're going to do is we're going to reset all of the stats here. So accumulated info, I'm going to still reset it when we start. So now it is 11:33 p.m. We have 285 kilometers on the GOM, minus 35 degrees, 99.5% of the battery. All the cameras are set up and ready to go. So let's get going. All right, guys, we're on the move, and we're driving towards Edmonton. Okay, so now it's going to be about 20 kilometers until we hit Anthony Henday Drive. Speed limit here is actually 110, but I am keeping it at 105. And just so that you guys know, the charger where we were at was around 1 kilometer from the entrance to this highway, so not too far. But we're already dropping, eh? And minimum temperature has now dropped to 5. So it's going to be mighty interesting to see how far we can get. So far GOM says 277, so we will see. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. So I will check back in when we reach Anthony Henday Drive, so you guys can see what it looks like. But it's going to be a good test, I think. Very good test. And it's getting slightly warmer here, so we're looking at minus 33, not 35. But yeah, oh, another ICE vehicle. This is the second one that I've seen so far that we've been driving, and that's parked on the side of the road, and somebody just abandoned it. And just so you know, HVAC is on. I'm keeping it at 23 degrees, which is plenty enough for me. So I'm not like hypermiling. And then I've got my heated seats on as well. And now we are entering the fog zone. So usually when it's this cold, now we've jumped up to minus 37 right away because of the ice fog that we have in front of us. So basically this just makes it even more cold. And it's all around here. Basically when you have fog like this, expect temperatures to drop. With wind chill, we're looking way over 40, maybe even close to the 50s on the minus scale, right? So this is pretty crazy, and we're not even yet to Anthony Henday, so not even into Edmonton proper. And yeah, and so many ICE cars. I've counted 5 so far that have been just parked on the side of the road. And also another thing is, you see, windows are starting to fog up, simply because the HVAC unit, even though this car has a heat pump, is not able to keep up while the car is driving. That huge influx of cold air that goes through the front is cooling down the entire system of the vehicle, and yeah, it's just not keeping up. So I don't want to increase temperatures or fan speeds until I'm really in dire need to do so. For now, I can still see where I'm going, so that's plenty enough. Maybe the temperature will be a little bit better. But yeah, we're doing 105. As I said, we're going to keep the same speed on Anthony Henday, where the speed limit is 100, just for posterity. All right, I'll check in when we get there. Guys, we are on the Henday now, and we're going to do a counterclockwise circle around Edmonton. Fogging up still happening, unfortunately, but let's check in a little bit. So now let me just zoom in here. So right now we have driven almost 25 kilometers. Consumption is 29.6 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, or 296 watt hours, which isn't so bad. 19 minutes of driving, but we're already down to 89%. So again, real battery 85. You got to be very watchful of this. I don't want to be stranded. I don't want to be calling a tow truck. I don't want any of those things. So as soon as it goes down to around 10, maybe 15, we're going to start looking for a charger. We're just going to drive around the charger and see how many more kilometers we can get. But yeah, that's the status update. The battery is getting colder. From 5, it has dropped down to 4. When we get into the minuses, I think that's when we will see an impact on range. But we will check in to see if that is actually going to happen. But anyway, we're on the Henday, and yeah, it's just a ring road around Edmonton with lights, so at least you guys can see a little bit during this nighttime run. And there's 2 reasons for doing a nighttime run, obviously. Number 1, temperatures are colder, and number 2, way less traffic, so I can actually do this video and not have to worry about stop and go. Okay, I'll check in when we're at 50 kilometers. We're not yet at 50 kilometers, so this is not a check-in for stats, but I just want to show you guys the clouds of smoke up ahead. So this is Refinery Alley. Edmonton is a huge oil town. This is where all the refineries are located in Edmonton, and anytime you drive through here in winter, it's just basically fog. So yeah, welcome to Refinery Alley, and this is why I decided to go counterclockwise, not knowing if I'm going to be here again due to the range, right? But so far so good, I would say. Not too bad. But yeah, welcome to Refinery Alley. And as you guys can see over there, a lot of refineries as far as the eye can see. So yeah, this is the bread and butter of Edmonton. Basically the Texas of the North. We just crossed 50 kilometers of driving distance. GOM says 232, but that is always misleading. So, oh, it's so bumpy here. Let's check it out. We have 79% of the battery as stated by the car, or the real one 75.5. So if we're looking at the what the car says, so we start with 100. So we've used right now 21% of battery, driving 50 kilometers. But consumption is not too bad. 28.8 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, or 288 watt hours. I mean, we're dealing with minus 32 right here, so a little bit warmer. But yeah, we're doing highway speeds 105, and it's cold, so not too bad. And we've got a Subaru that just overtook us, so he's going a little bit faster than the speed limit, but a lot of smoke is coming out of him, just like any other car at this temperature that uses an internal combustion engine. We just crossed 100 kilometers, and we just did our first loop of the Anthony Henday Drive. So we've been increasing our consumption steadily now, 29.9 kilowatt hour per 100. Okay, we've been on the road for an hour and we've driven 100 kilometers. So now we've almost used half of our battery pack to just drive 100 kilometers at a constant speed of 105. So yeah, now battery temperature. The lowest has been steady at 3 for a while now. 12, that's an increase from 11, which is good. I want the battery to be warm, obviously. But yeah, I'm not sure how much we're gonna get. We're definitely gonna get 200. I don't know if we can eke out more than that. I think I will do one more loop and then start strategizing about where to pull over to charge. But as we're driving here, I just want to show you guys something very cool that Kia and Hyundai cars have. It is this energy information that gives you real-time stats. So Right now the drivetrain has been using 66% of available power. 30 is going into the climate. Electronics is taking 1% so far, and battery care 3. So electronics is really not that much. You can have as much stuff plugged in as you wish, really. The climate part, that takes so long. And this one has a heat pump. So imagine cars that don't have heat pumps, what sort of numbers we would be seeing here. And obviously the drivetrain itself, right, takes a lot. But yeah, we're still at 23 degrees, no changes there. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But for now, I think I'm pleasantly surprised. And we will be going through a refinery alley again. So lots of clouds and lots of smoke happening over there. We just crossed 150 driven kilometers. GOM says 82. So as you guys can see, this is not very linear. We're losing more as the battery depletes. Let's see our stats here. We've got 31% reported by the car, 29.5 actual state of charge. So it's kind of evening out. I'm guessing maybe it's just a balancing issue. Batteries need to balance themselves. So yeah, we don't have much left. I'm already contemplating where I'm going to bail out and get a charger. There are 2 flow locations coming up. One close to an IKEA and one in Sherwood Park, which is close to Refinery Alley. So I'll decide as we go. So I don't want to get stuck, obviously. But max temp 14, minimum temp 4. So it did increase. At least we're not going into the negatives here, because I'm also going to show you guys what kind of charging speeds to expect after you've been driving for a little while. At these temperatures. So that should be interesting. But anyways, consumption right now sits at 30 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, or 300 watt hour. And we've been on the road for an hour and a half. So for most people, hour and a half to 2 hours, it's pee break time, right? So yeah. All right, anyways, let me see what we're gonna do. Okay, we've got 19.5 left. It's kind of evening out now, so I feel a little bit better. But yes, 19%. We're going to be bailing out in Sherwood Park. If you're from here, you will be familiar. There's going to be a flow charger there that we're going to hook up to, and then do a charging test to see after all of this. But the battery's been increasing. I think the car's been heating up the battery a little bit because we do have winter mode on. So Kias don't have battery preconditioning as like other cars have, but I mean, it's okay. All right, so now the mission is to get to the charger in Sherwood Park, which shouldn't be too far away. All right, we have arrived at our charging location, which is a Canadian Tire. And if you're Canadian, you know exactly what that is. We got 7%. So we've timed it perfectly here, okay? Battery is kind of toasty. We've got 17 and 9, which should be plenty. So all we have to do is just maybe just drive around the parking lot. I'll show you guys where the chargers are. So the chargers are right here. So we've got a DC, it's on, yay! We've got a DC and we've got 2 level 2s. All right, so not a bad parking lot to do just a few rounds here. There's a BC car, that's interesting. So yeah, let me drive around until we get to turtle mode here. Let's hope that the charge port is not too frozen. All right, it came out. So as always, I've got my Flow RFID. It is frosty. Okay, snapped in. Now, usually with flow, one has to wait a little bit until it talks through the car, and then it says here, hold your card. You hold the card, and now we pray. Okay, so I heard a click, so now let's have a look if after all the clicking it will start charging. Well, it's doing something, and we have a light. That means we are charging. Trying to lock the port, but I turned that off because it does get very icy and very cold. So there you go, another myth busted. Can you charge at minus 32 degrees Celsius an electric car? Yeah, you sure can. Thank you to Flow for making good chargers that work in any type of weather. All right, let me jump back in because it's dang cold. All right, we're back in the car here. So we're pulling 40 kilowatt after plugging in at this temperature. So as you can see, minus 32. Since we're already past 7%, past 5, so turbo mode is off, but the battery warning is still on until 10%. That's how it usually goes. And car says 40, and here we're getting a max of 34, and so that some of it is going towards heating and so on and so forth. Probably heating up the battery as well. Making sure that is getting ready for higher speeds, because this is a 50 kilowatt charger, so we should be getting around 50 kilowatts from this. And obviously, as you guys can see, if you had to stay here up to 100% in this weather, it would take 2 hours 21 minutes or 1 hour to 80%. But we're not going to stay here 1 hour. All I need is 50% to get home. 198 kilometers driven until 5%. Okay, turtle mode. Usually at this point, I would suggest you guys go plug in somewhere. 198. If you lowered it to 100 kilometers an hour, which at this kind of in this kind of season, especially at these temperatures, that'd be pretty good speed. Trust me, we passed a lot of cars, as you probably saw, so 100 would have been perfect. You could have gotten over 200 kilometers. Okay, I'll put all the values in miles as well, so there you go. So that is our distance travel. Now, consumption was an even 30 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, so that gives us a nice little baseline. All right, so 300 watt hour if you think in Tesla numbers. Consumption, yeah, pretty high, but at minus 32 with all the things going on, I think pretty good. And then we were on the road for 2 hours and around 8 minutes, let's say. Okay, we drove around here, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, those are the final numbers. And yeah, and now we're charging. Still like 40, 41, but the max that's going into the battery is around 37. So some of that is being used elsewhere, which is fine. Not a problem. Like I say, I need about 50% to get home, so I'm not gonna rush. 200 kilometers, let's call it that, okay? 200 kilometers. Is that good or bad? I think that for a car with the battery like this, 64 kilowatt net usable is like 61. I've got 68,960 kilometers. There has to be some degradation as well. Keep that in mind. So I would say overall, a pretty good result for what this is. Again, I will say this one more time. These are extreme circumstances. Most people will not find themselves in this kind of weather, and they will not be driving their car when it's this cold, okay? Because most of you guys live in much milder climates. But if you ever do find yourself in a situation like this, at least you know that a car like a Kia Soul EV with a 64 kilowatt hour net pack can drive 200 kilometers which would then explain, right, the 30 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers result, right? Because we're within that range. Obviously, we still had 5%. We could eke out a little bit if you had to get to that charger, but you know, I don't like to leave it that close, especially during times like this. But anyways, that's it. I think it's okay. I think it's perfect from what I needed to do. In these extreme circumstances, it's fine. I can drive, you know, 200 kilometers. That's 2 hours of my time. I got to stop anyway. If I'm with family, they need to stop, go to the toilet, eat something, whatever, right? So perfectly acceptable result, I would say. And obviously, the warmer it is, the more range you get. And most people live in climates, even when it's cold. Like people live, for example, in Norway, where it's like minus 20, right? Or like in the US, in Colorado, or you know, Wyoming or whatever, right? It's also minus 20. It does get a little bit colder, but most of the time that's what it is. So that result would improve. Probably with minus 20, you're looking about 250. A real world, maybe 275 if you're very, very lucky and the road is flat and there's not too much wind. Like today, at least we got lucky and there was no wind. But anyways, let me finish charging. It was a good run. I really enjoyed it. I hope I can do this with other cars. Maybe I can get a Tesla, maybe a Model 3 long range when it's this kind of weather, and see what we can do with that. Obviously that has better battery management technology, so it might do better. But anyways, thanks so much for being here with me on this nighttime adventure. If you liked the video, feel free to like it. It would really, really help me and help the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Again, it helps the channel, helps me make more videos. All right, thanks so much. That's it. Take care. Bye.